everyone. Welcome back to Krakada, where we discuss everything entertainment, lifestyle, career, and personal development. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, and if you enjoy watching this video, do not forget to give a thumbs up. Well, today we're going to be diving into a deep but interesting topic, and it's also very important, which is surviving a toxic workplace. And workplace toxicity can be very exhausting. It's something that really takes a toll on you, as a person, whereby I realize that you spend most of the time at work. You spend most of the time at your office, wherever you might be working. So it's always important to find the balance and, at least be happy wherever you're working. And this could be from, negative coworkers, poor management, or a culture that just brings you down. And this could really affect your mental health or your career. To be honest, it could really affect you and take a toll on you. And that's why on this episode, I'm going to be giving you strategies on how to, thrive and strive if you find yourself in a toxic workplace. But before I get into the 3 parts we're going to be discussing, I would like to go on a short break. See you guys soon. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, guys. Remember I said at the first part that I'm going to be introducing 3 parts on how to manage workplace toxicity. So the first step to, acknowledging toxic or anything that is toxic is to recognize that there is toxicity in whatever your, whatever phase or wherever you might be experiencing this toxicity. So number 1, you must recognize this toxicity, and number 2, part 2 is going to be about coping strategies, and the third part is, well, if the coping strategies didn't work out for you, then you might have to opt for the third part, but let's hope that it doesn't get to that anyway. So the first step is to, recognize it, and sometimes it's really obvious when you're in a toxic workplace, like if there is constant drama, or a micromanaging boss, or other times, it could be something subtle. So to recognize that you're in a toxic workplace, so here are some red flags to watch out for. So number 1, are you in a negative atmosphere? Are people constantly fighting? Are people constantly worried? Are people constantly complaining? Or are they constantly burnt out? And one thing I've noticed about human beings is you might not really know when you're burnt out. You might not really be able to acknowledge, it's someone that will even tell you, what's going on? Are you okay? What's happening around you? Like, what's going on? So it's important to take some time off to understand these things. Am I burnt out? Like, is it getting overwhelming for me? You have to acknowledge these things because that's how it starts. Then number 2, lack of communication. So are you being left out in the dark? Like, are you being left out when important discussions are going on, or whereby you talk about something or you give your 2 cents on something and then you're flagged, or nobody is telling you anything, you're just waking up and finding out stuff that you really did not have any idea of? That also can be a sign that you might be in a toxic place. Number 3, high turnover. So are people quitting in your workplace? And no one seems to last more than a year. People are you see someone, they'll come in 6 months, they're out. Someone, they come in 1 year, they're out. So what's going on? If the attrition rate is high, then there's a very high chance that you are in a toxic workplace. Then is there favoritism or discrimination? So do certain people get unfair treatments? Do people get preferential treatments? So these are all the things you have to look out for to know if you are in a toxic workplace. And if these things I've mentioned sound familiar, then there is a very high chance that you are dealing with a toxic environment, and that shouldn't be so. So that's part 1, recognizing it. So I've listed out a few points for you to understand what it's like to go through workplace toxicity, and if any of those things sounded familiar, then there is a very high chance that you have to, do something about it. But I will be telling you what you can do about it. So part 2, which are the coping strategies. So number 1 on our coping strategies is to set boundaries. So boundaries are important in every aspect of our lives, and it's really good to set boundaries. understand when to tell people no, or when to say, you know what, I can't do this. And I feel like a lot of people have a problem with saying no, or rejecting things. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why we go through what we tend to be going through. Because I, for one, can actually testify to something like this. So if you're feeling overworked, you can just communicate. I know communication can be hard, but I mean, it's easier for you to just talk about these things than for you to suffer in silence. Because what I'm going to break to you is, you not talking, you talking, it's still like the results are still going to be what they are. Not talking, you're suffering in silence. Talking, the result might not be so good when you speak up and all, but at the end of the day, you're free. So that's why it's important to set boundaries. Whatever you're not supposed to do, as long as it's not your expertise to do it, then just say, kindly decline. I'm sorry, I can't do this. I'm sorry, I can't. But just know that you're trying to conserve yourself and help your mental health. These things are very important. Then these things are very important. Then at number 2, I'd say find allies. Like when I say find allies, I mean, people that you can trust in your workplace, and you can talk to, communicate with them about what is happening to you. And I know trust is not really easy. It's not really easy to trust people. But anyway, there's some people I do trust in my workplace, and I can talk to them about what I'm going through. If you have people in your workplace you can trust, talk to them. Human beings, we're not an island. We're supposed to talk to people and tell people how we feel. So try to build support on them and rely on them. Then at number 3, I'd say focus on the positives. So are there parts of your job that you actually do enjoy, that you find joy in doing? Like, let's say, like me now, presenting this to you, talking to you guys, I actually kind of enjoy it. It's like an escape for me, but not from my workplace, but from things light throws at me. So you can also find an escape, like something you enjoy doing in the office, and just put your mind to that. Like, I mean, that will really help you to get through things or figure out stuff on your own. Just focusing on something that you really enjoy doing, that really helps with that really helps mentally. And it will help you to, keep your morale up, to help you to be happy, at least. Though you might not like the environment, but at least you're enjoying what you're doing. Hey. Then, documenting everything is also very important. And this is what I say, this is when I say speaking up. This is when I also say speaking up as well, because it matters in the documentation. So when you're speaking up, it's always important to document, keep records of all this inappropriate behavior. If you're going through any of it, unfair treatment, talk about it, and you might need it anyway in case things escalate. Just keep things, document things, and talk to somebody. So it won't be like, you've been going through this, because we can know how human beings are. You've been going through this, you didn't speak up. We're going through, even though speaking up can be hard, but try. So when it gets piled up, it won't be like you didn't say anything, or they'll say, why didn't she say anything? Why didn't he say anything? To avoid this kind of issues, just document. And remember, like, self-care is key. Like, outside of work, I know we spend most times at work, but outside of work, try to find, time to relax, escape, relax yourself. I mean, there are 24 hours in a day. We spend 8 hours in the office or in the workplace. So try to relax. You can meditate, you can do exercise, you can go to the gym, retail therapy. Self-care is key, self-care is important. And I also want to add that in as much as we are aware, okay, self-care is important, self-care is key, I will still keep pondering on, setting boundaries and talking about stuff, because you can do all this, you can rely on another thing, but it's still going to hurt coming to a place that you don't enjoy working in. So that's why it's important to talk about. It's hard, it's very hard, but we must learn to communicate if we want to be better, if we want to strive for better. So, anyways, yeah, actually. So we'll be going on a short break right now before I talk about part 3. See you guys soon. Before we get to the third part of this video, guys, please click on the like button and the subscribe button. You guys, please, we're trying to get to 5K subscribers. I want to go on a vacation. So guys, please, you can do it right now. As you're watching me, just like the video and subscribe, and you can also share once the video is done. So for part 3, we're coming back for you. All right, guys, so I've talked about the first part, which is recognizing toxicity, and the second part, coping strategy. But this third part I'm about to talk about is, when you've tried the second part and to no avail, nothing worked out. Well, you might have to start planning your exit. So I'd say sometimes, despite all your effort, a toxic workplace just isn't worth staying, and you might have to exit. You might need an exit strategy if after you've spoken about it, nothing is still done. So number one, start job hunting. Start looking for new places, new opportunities to work in. And I would say if at all you manage to get to the interview phase of the job hunting, you can actually ask questions. How is the environment? How is the work environment of this place? What is it like? Because I personally believe there's no perfect workplace. But at least you shouldn't have to be struggling, fighting for your life every day at the office or at work. So you ask questions. Oh my God, how is this environment like? What happens here? What is going to happen to me? Just ask questions. It's all about, understanding what you're trying to get yourself in as well. So begin to search for a healthier work environment. Then number two, network. I said it, if you've watched my video or if you watched our video on leveling up in your 20s, I actually did talk about networking. If you haven't seen that video, you can watch our other videos. So I spoke about networking in that video. Networking is important anyway. So, you can network with people in your industry, in your field, talk to them. I'm not saying you should talk to them about what you're going through because you might not trust them. I mean, you don't know these people. You don't really know who you're networking with. But, you can join group chats, sign up for email newsletters on what's happening in your industry. So if there are opportunities, it'll be easier for you to, be on the right track and apply for, a better place. Then I'll also say you should save money. Job hunting is very hard, I have to say. It's not easy looking for a new job. And if at all you have to take a very, serious action by quitting your job or exiting a toxic workplace, which I always support anyway. If your workplace is very toxic, I support you actually leave. But as you're leaving, the way the economy is, and this is everywhere, like economy is declining seriously. So you have to have something you can fall back on. So that's why I say you can save as much money as you can. Just save a little. So as you're job hunting, you can have something to fall back on, and you won't really be tempted to want to stay in a toxic place, all because you do not have money or you do not have savings. So yeah, save money, build a financial backup for anything, because you never know. Then know your rights. Actually, as a person, you should know your rights. If it's really bad, consider seeking advice from your HR. Talk to your HR. And if nothing is still done, I go back to the first case, start job hunting and, getting out of that place, leaving the place. Because I'll just say we really don't deserve to, go through toxicity in where we work or in any place in general. So I had to, I have to outline this measure. And I have to say it's not easy because I've found myself in weird positions and I had to communicate. So you just have to communicate and things got better. I'm actually using myself as an example because it's actually real. Things got better. So you have to, ponder and remember that your mental health is more important than any job. And you also have to understand that once your mental health is cooked, it starts to affect the physical. Everything we do comes from the mind. Your mind has to be sound before you can be sound physically. So if your mental health is cooked, there's a very high chance your physical health is going to be cooked as well. So if where you're working is affecting your well-being, leaving might be the best thing you can do for yourself. All right, guys, we'll be going on a short break. See you guys soon. All right, guys, that's all for today. Today's episode on surviving a toxic workplace. And I really hope these tips will help you or help whoever to navigate, this tough situation. If you're dealing with it, I just want you to know that you're not alone in what you're going through, and it would really be advisable and nice if you speak up. Speaking up is very important. Very, very important. And if you also have any questions, drop them below in the comments, or feel free to please share your own experience with toxic workplaces. I would like to see it. I like to read them. You know, we can talk about it. And don't forget to subscribe for more content on thriving in your career. Guys, also do not forget to follow us on social media, Crackader Official. Drop your questions, leave a comment, and do not forget to subscribe. See you in the next episode. Bye, guys.